We're going to kick this Finca Life off with your weekly dose of cuteness here in the cattery. Leaving her legacy with a cat rescue.
It's a man-centred thought.
Not the type of dog. They barely had their feathers. Kitten and puppy season has well and truly started, and we have kittens everywhere at the moment. I mean, look how unbelievably cute they are though. These cute bundles of fluff were actually found by a volunteer who was staying at a different retreat for a while, and she heard some kittens in the bush and then called us. So can you come and take them? Luckily we actually had the quarantine empty at the time. They were much smaller and a little bit sick, but they're all thriving now. They were a little bit nervous at the beginning, but now look at them, these beautiful bundles. However, no one's interested in them. We've got these 5 and no interest in new homes. Oh. I want to keep them all. I don't want to keep them all. Please, can you rehome some kittens so we can take on more? Because I think at the moment we have 10 in that cage, one in that 10, 11, 15, about 16, 17 kittens. That's a lot of kittens. And that's a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of poop. Now I'm going to show you some of the other kittens we have in the cattery. Bye-bye, babies. You can come out soon. Through the bathroom and through the kindergarten, and hopefully he doesn't see me. You need to make a run for it. Every mum knows if they get spotted, they get caught. Let's go see the other bundle of kittens. Be prepared. Extremely cute. This should come with a warning. We had this amazing cattery sponsored by Jan Stoneman, which is a really bittersweet, sad story. One of our amazing volunteers who's coming back over the years, unfortunately, his mum passed away. This isn't her legacy. She helped our sanctuary so much, and she's absolutely mad cat woman. So what better way than leaving her legacy with a cat rescue, the cattery. And it couldn't have been at a better timing because it's full instantly. Are you prepared for quite how cute they are? So introduce them to their new temporary home. A seriously cute bundle of very smelly little monsters. It's a good temporary solution until they find their forever homes, and I think that'll be easy because they're incredibly cute. They are also messy little buggers. They were cleaned out a little while ago. Hi babies! Hello little ones! Look at this bundle of sweetness. These came from a lovely lady who took a street cat in who was pregnant, and these grey ones came from the street cat, and she also rescued a Maine Coon who were also pregnant, and these little bundle of fluffs were Maine Coon cross babies. Look at these, oh my god, how cute. They are all absolutely gorgeous. Can you believe that we've got no interest? I don't understand how. Hopefully by now some of them might be heading off to their forever homes, because although they're safe and they're fed and cleaned out, believe it or not, they are clean. They're just messy. It's not ideal. Look, they're stuck in this small space, so they're safe, but you know, they're not going to thrive in here. And although they're cute, kittens cost a lot of money. This is 16 castrations and sterilizations and food and vaccinations and worming and flea. That costs us a lot of money. And if we don't rehome them while they're cute fluffy kittens, that means we're going to have 16 more cats on the sanctuary, which monthly treatments and lots more food. So yeah, that's what it's like running this place. They're very cute when you don't think about how much money they cost. Look at you. And we actually ended up adopting 2 of them ourselves because Iggy fell in love with 2, and I mean, what's 2 more kittens, hey? So we've got 2 over in our house at the moment, who Iggy has named Pancake and Melocoton. So now we are going to go see puppies because it's kitten and puppy season, and we've got them all. Babies popping out everywhere. Although we live in the island of eternal spring, there's always spring here, so it's not like we don't have any during winter. We do, just not as much. So we have like kittens and puppies all year round, and then all of a sudden millions. Now here's the puppies. We've moved them now to a bigger cage because they were just living in a makeshift one over in my garden, but you're all too big and kept escaping. We had 6, 2 have gone. Hello little one. This is Blackfoot. She's actually got a home. She's just waiting to go for it. We've got Sky, Sanji and little Blueberry. We will find you good homes, I promise. Otherwise we're going to end up with loads of dogs as well, but I hope we don't, because we've still got so many other dogs stuck in cages. Poor Max and Stuart there, and Sailor and Gucci. We've got another new interesting dog. Hopefully we can rehome her very soon. because this is a Shar-Pei and not the type of dog who wants to be in a dusty, windy enclosure and cage because of her skin and her breeding. It's really sad. And she came from a loving home, which actually I find sadder than animals abandoned, because she didn't want to be rescued from there. She got taken from a nice home and put into a cage. Our owners didn't want to give her away, but they needed to because they weren't allowed to keep them anymore in their apartment and they need to find a new place. And yeah, I find that as actually a sadder story than rescuing animals from suffering. So hopefully she'll find a home soon. Oh, otherwise we end up keeping you all. These guys, we actually were found up in the in a forest, the other side of the island. We got called because someone had seen and was feeding mum with the babies. And then when we got there, we could not catch mum, unfortunately. The place was huge, but they were at the point where they were getting ready to wean. We managed to catch them, but it was so much space that they were just running wild. And unfortunately, we saw other ones as well. Mum with guest dad, and there were lots of inbred dogs that are just breeding in a population, which is not a place that they can survive because there's no food, there's no water. So we managed to save these 6. We kept going for a week or so after that, kept going up again to try and catch the others. But by the time they were a bit older, it was impossible because they were already so scared of humans. At this age, it was okay. But so unfortunately, that's a common story and not a lot we can do to help it at the moment. So let's go see what else is happening. Right, now I'm going to show you something else we've just built. Recently we took on some peacocks and peahens and peafowl to be correct with my language. I only recently learned actually that peacocks is not the term for all of them, but it makes sense. And I'm ashamed to realise that it took me about 37 years to realise that. Anyway, so we had them. We came as an emergency 6 months ago, probably, something like that. And we didn't really have anywhere to put them, but we needed to rescue them and get them up place. So we did, and although their enclosure was not great, it was better than what they had before. But we're in the process where we bought the new bit of land, and we've been working with the government to sort out all of our legalities and stuff, to the permissions to build the next enclosures, and we got it. And it's great news because now we have all this. Sheep, turkeys. Who we're going to come see today is the peacocks. Absolutely stunning. Although we don't have a very good ratio. We really, really need some more peahens, some more female peacocks, because we've got far too many men, which are absolutely beautiful, but feel a little bit sorry for the girls that we have. They're all getting a little bit bothered. So if anyone's got any ideas of how we can get some more peacocks, please let me know. Yeah, this is the new beautiful enclosure. How many we have now? About 9. You can see them. It's a lot more natural, like hiding under the bushes. And they're always like, oh, we've somehow got a chicken in here. How did you get in here? This is our much more natural enclosure. We're really, really happy now that we've managed to make something that's a lot more closer to the natural environment. Well, I just wanted to introduce you to their new enclosure and the most exotic members. Look, you're so beautiful. Exotic members of our family. But that's it, really. We can leave them in peace. It's another feather. It's a nice place. And the volunteers collecting some of the feathers, although these ones are missing their eyes. Happy story, happy ending to these guys. When they came, they were they barely had their feathers and they were really struggling. So this is what makes this, worth it, when you see them come in a terrible state, then get them into a not great state, like an emergency, squeezing them in, and then managing to have a happy ending to live the rest of their life. And now we're going to go do something really fun. Really interesting. Let's go see the horses and do something a little bit weird. Now it's the task to do something, a really, really fun task. Well, I say me, actually. I'm really lucky that I don't have to do it anymore because we have Tash. So Tash is going to do a really fun task. See, I always moan about staying in the office and not getting to do much animal stuff anymore. But actually this one, I'm not really bothered that I don't have to do it because you can do it for me instead.
You ready to see some carrots?
Some carrots, yeah, we're going to go see some carrots. Tash is going to explain what we do, and we can start with my baby, good old Shanty. Yeah, so Hannah's going to bring, look, I don't even have to do anything. I'm just basically emotional support to my horse and introducing what's happening. It's fun. Anyone who has a boy horse should know what you're doing, should know what we're doing, and if not, watch along. This will teach you how to do it, and it's something that you don't expect that You'll be amazed actually how many horse people don't know that you've got to do this.
Yeah, the amount of people we've spoken to that actually don't realise that this is part of general care is and it's so important, because a lot of like behavioural issues, pain associated, can come from this small thing. So it's something that you definitely need to be doing.
Because the question we get all the time is, but they don't do that in the wild, but think what they do in the wild, which they don't get to do here. So this is why we have to do that for them.
Yeah, when they're gelded with no mares, there's no self-cleaning happening with the carrots.
Sorry, Shanti!
Today we are going to be cleaning our horse's sheath, and if you don't know what a horse's sheath is, it's a man's sensitive part. And YouTube's going to ban me if I use the word, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to call it a carrot. For the horse owners who have geldings asking how often you should do this, it depends on your horse, but we like to do it routinely at least once a year. It's really important for their health to make sure this is done. So now I need to do the YouTube thing. We are going to now be looking deeply at these horses' carrots. So this is sensitive content. If you do not want to see horses' carrots, look away. So the anatomy of the horse's carrot can be very different. So if you can see Gallen's carrot over here, this is what a normal gelded male would look like. So everything is held up inside, very deep, arm's length deep. And this should stay like this. Normally it protects it from sun, from dust, from damage. However, we have Bruno over here who has a very large carrot. Come with me. Now, although this is slightly funny, it's actually a really sad story. So before Bruno arrived with us, if you can see his gigantic carrot, he was actually whipped repetitively in the carrot. Unfortunately, is a common affair. Instead of gelding males, they will whip them repetitively to try and control the anger and actually hope that it gelds them. Now, as a result, it has literally affected the lymphatic system, and it causes inflammation and swelling in his. So you can see it's almost always hanging down because it can't actually go inside into the area it should go. So for a guy like this, it means we have to do it more often, but also it's more painful and sensitive. And the first thing you should remember before trying to put your hand straight up your horse's carrot is that some men do not like being touched down there. These horses sometimes don't like it, sometimes they can be sensitive, so you really need to be careful about where you're standing and slowly work it up to it to make sure to keep yourself and your horse safe. The first thing we're going to do first is we're just going to give him a little bit of a stroke. Maybe we might have to swap for a different horse. Right, let me just see if I can get him to look at my glove. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing this on Shanti. It's wind. I don't want to stress him either, like.
In case you're wondering why we've decided to change horses, my wonderful stud Shanti has decided that the pink bag, this flapping in the wind is a bit too scary, and we don't want to stress him too much. So we are going to start with another horse, because although we've done it to him before in the past, maybe it wasn't so windy, maybe it wasn't the flapping noise, or maybe it wasn't pink. Yeah,
they're usually green, I guess.
Maybe the person wasn't so pink.
Yeah, I'm also very pink too.
Who knows? But here we always like to try and do them at their pace and make it a bit slower. So we've got time. Let's try Capri. By we, I mean Tash can try Capri.
I wouldn't have ever thought that Capri would be the one, because he used to be quite a difficult horse. Yeah. Capri was actually a rig, and when he arrived, he came to us because he was an excursion horse that was boring. He was not boring at all. He was actually in chronic pain. So once we fixed these problems with him before my time, he became a very interesting behavioured horse. And he was difficult on the ground particularly, which is now it's strange that we've got to a point with him where he's the one we're going to use as a potentially calm horse. So that's again another nice development.
Hi, Catty. While Catty is sticking her bum in my face, I want to explain a little bit about her story because it's really sweet. This cat we rescued many years ago. There was 4 of them, but she actually has epilepsy, and she was my little baby. She was with me everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I'd go anywhere on the finca and I'd shout, "Catty!" Ladies, and she'd just come running, and she followed me. She was like one of my dogs, and because I bottle fed her, she was absolutely my kitten. I've never had a cat like this. She was just like my shadow. Then when I got pregnant with Iggy, she was on my belly the whole time. I've got videos and photos of this. It was lovely. And she was there for me waiting in my caravan, just up there. And then when I ended up staying at my mum's for a month where I had Iggy, she waited on my bed the whole time for me. The day I came back with Iggy, she looked at me and went, nope. She left me. She wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't come anywhere near me. It took a bit of time where I tried to get her in the caravan. She absolutely refused. We moved out the caravan for a bit, a couple of weeks. We stayed somewhere. She moved back in the caravan. I came back again. Nope, not coming near me. It's only in the last like 2 years, she won't talk to me. She would not come near me. And now she's starting to come near me if I don't have Iggy. But it absolutely broke my heart. But we have just been offered an amazing home for her, which breaks my heart because I never ever wanted to rehome her. But she obviously shows that she needs a person, and she did not want to share her human with a child, which is really sad because I could have loved you both, but she left me just like that. And now look, she's pretending that she loves me again, which is just making me really sad that I don't want to get rid of you. Animals, sometimes you have to do the hardest decisions, what's right for them, but she broke my heart. Apparently I broke hers by having a child. Right, here comes Capri.
Okay, so the first thing we want to do is make sure that the horse is not sensitive around his carrot area. So we're just going to give him a little stroke down the side. Good boy. I'm just going to move this bucket. Good boy. He's now going to have a problem with it. Good boy. There's a good boy. Okay, so he seems pretty comfortable with me touching there. He's not really stood in the best position because he's got this leg forward. So I'm going to ask Hannah to do is just move him forward slightly. Good boy. Okay, now here we've got a bucket of warm water with some safe soap that we can use specific for this. It's really important you don't use anything heavy in fragrances and stuff because it can kill the natural pH of the tissues and the oils that they have down there. Now you can see the area here. What you want to be doing is actually putting your hand inside. It goes in pretty far, and we're going to try and slowly just loosen up the skin and pull out the carrot so that we can see what's going on. Now once you've done this a lot, you can do it while you're still inside without having to pull them out, but for the purpose of this video we're going to try and bring out the carrot. Okay, babe. So we're going to pull out the loose skin. As you can see, it's already falling out. Now you don't want to be pulling this at all. You just want to be massaging it, and you'll see. Now this is all basically a buildup of skin, dust, smegma, and this gets stuck inside and can cause problems with cleaning and make them quite uncomfortable down there. So he's got quite a lot of buildup. So before I try and pull out his carrot, I'm going to get rid of that buildup. Good boy, you're being so good. Another bean. As much as it's uncomfortable to start with, when you start pulling it out, you can see they understand what you're doing, and look how much more relaxed he is. So is this something you can do at home? Absolutely. If you feel comfortable doing it with your horse, it's something you can do yourself. And what you will need is very simple.
Well, that's enough carrot cleaning for now. And that, in fact, actually, that's going to be enough of this week's episode of Finca Life. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell, like, comment, all that stuff, because it helps us to help more animals like this. And if you really enjoyed the carrot cleaning, we've got a how-to coming out soon because, I mean, everyone needs to know how to clean the carrot of a horse, right? So again, thank you so much. Just by watching these videos helps us rescue all animals like these. Thank you. See you next week.